The transport's belly opened and the air itself became a weapon. 52 recruits staggered onto the frozen wasteland of Kryos 9. By sunset, I predicted 40 would be dead. I was wrong about the number. It was 51, and the Earthborn girl was whistling. My designation is Kale. My species, the Draxi, evolved in sub-zero caves. Our homeworld hangs in a perpetual winter, where blood freezes in seconds if you're foolish. I scaled crystal glaciers before I spoke my first word. At the Galactic War College, I aced 7 tactical simulations. When the proctors selected leaders for the infamous Frost Gauntlet, my name stood alone at the summit. I was confident. I was primed. I believed I understood the definition of cold. I understood nothing. The Frost Gauntlet remains the Academy's most lethal exam. For 2 centuries, they've run it. Candidates land on Kryos 9's frozen moon, survive 8 days, trek 420 kilometers of fractured ice, hit 3 beacon points on a dying map, you get a heater and a prayer. The success rate hovers below 2%. Recruits get shattered. Some vanish. Every cycle, the Academy holds a memorial for the ones who never board the return shuttle. We all signed the waiver. My squad held 12 beings. 4 Draxi like me. 2 bioluminescent swamp folk from the marshes of Ithril. Pretty glow. 0 survival utility. 3 from a hive mind insect race called the Cathar. 2 photosynthetic plant humans from Verdania. And then there was her. The human. Her file read, Lena Cross. Origin. Kepler, 186F. I'd never heard of it. I pulled the archive. Level 10, Deathworld. That rating is theoretical. It means the planet is actively designing ways to exterminate you. The air corrodes metal. The nights hit -120. The predators are rumored to digest stone. The census said barely 80,000 humans live there. Lena didn't look like an exterminator. She was short. Brown hair. A smile that seemed apologetic. She looked like she belonged in a botanical garden, not a slaughterhouse. When she met the squad, she gave a timid wave and said she hoped we'd all be friends. I nearly laughed. I mentally bet she'd tap out within the first 30 minutes. I was being generous. The dropship rocketed above the launch pad. The pilot announced our insertion point was 850 kilometers from the first marker, 200 extra due to a superstorm. My gut clenched. As we flew, the others checked their failing gear. Fear radiated off them. Even my Draxi kin, born to the freeze, looked pale under their scales. One of the Ithril was already hyperventilating. The Verdania clutched each other, their leaf skin trembling. Only Lena seemed at ease. She stared out the porthole, smiling at the swirling vortex below. I slid next to her. I wanted to see what a Deathworld human was made of before the ice unmade her. Are you scared? I asked. She turned, offering that gentle smile. A little. I've never worked with a company before. Back home, I usually trap alone. I hope I don't hold anyone up. I blinked. Hold us up? She was worried about slowing us down. I looked at her thin arms, her delicate hands. A strange sensation prickled my scales, not pity, recognition, like standing next to a sleeping predator and not knowing if it's dreaming. The ship shuddered. We punched into the storm. The pilot's voice crackled. Surface temp -82. Winds 190 kilometers per hour. I've never seen it this violent. Good luck, cadets. The ramp descended. The wind hit like a frozen sledgehammer to the chest. I couldn't inhale. Half the squad screamed. The Ithril collapsed. One of the Verdania wept. Dangerous, since tears freeze to their face in seconds. I turned to shout orders. Then I saw Lena. She had stripped off her thermal cloak. She was draping it over the shivering Ithril. She stood in her standard issue undersuit. Her bare arms were already in the killing wind. She wasn't shivering. Take this, she said. I'll stiffen up before I even notice the breeze. You need it more. The Ithril took the cloak with trembling hands. I wanted to yell at Lena, call her a fool. But before I could speak, she turned and walked down the ramp. She didn't stumble. She didn't gasp. She stepped into -82 like she was entering a greenhouse. She stretched. She yawned. Then she said the words that would haunt me forever. "Oh, this is lovely. A bit crisp. Feels like spring on Kepler." Spring. She said spring. I stood frozen at the ramp's edge. My lungs were burning razors. My scales were turning brittle. And this tiny human was rolling her shoulders, admiring the clouds. The rest of the squad descended slowly, fighting for every step. 2 Cathar fell. The Verdania could barely crawl. My own Draxi warriors were already suffering, and Lena was kneeling in the snow, running her fingers through it like a child greeting a pet. The dropship lifted. Ice crystals exploded everywhere. When the blast cleared, we were alone on the white hell. The storm roared. Gray sky. Zero visibility. I grabbed the emergency band. I clicked it on, desperate to hear other voices. What I heard turned my blood to slush. "Squad Delta 9 emergency, 2 cadets down, we can't move them. Squad Gamma 3, shelter imploded, pull us out. Squad Beta 11, lost our leader in the whiteout, please advise." Voice after voice, squad after squad. The trial had been active for 14 minutes. 14 minutes, and the radio was a funeral bell. I lowered the device. I looked at my 12 cadets, shivering, terrified. I looked at the endless horizon of white. For the first time in my adult life, I felt true, primal dread. Then I looked at Lena, she had stood up. She was studying the sky, head tilted like a scientist. She turned to me, that soft smile still intact. "Squad leader," she said politely. "May I offer a thought?" I nodded. My voice was gone. "We shouldn't linger here. The pressure is dropping fast. In about 15 minutes, the wind will pivot and push the cold front south. If we're in this basin when it hits, we lose people." She pointed west. "There's a low ridge, maybe 300 meters. It'll break the worst of it. We dig in there." I stared at her. 15 minutes on an alien moon, no instruments. She had simply looked up and read the weather like a menu. "How do you know?" I whispered. "The clouds to my left are moving faster than the ones on my right," she said. "And the air tastes different than when we landed. On Kepler, that means a flash freeze is coming. Usually gives you 20 minutes, sometimes less." She said it like everyone could taste pressure drops, like weather reading was kindergarten. I gave the order. We moved toward the ridge. The snow was deep, the wind was a blade. 2 cadets fell. Lena pulled them up without a word. She carried a Verdania on her back for the last 40 meters. She wasn't even breathing hard. We reached the ridge. The wind lessened. I pulled out the standard thermal tent, a miracle fabric designed to hold heat. I unfolded it. It cracked. Then it crumbled to dust in my hands. The anchor spikes shattered against the permafrost like glass. Panic began to climb my throat. The other squads were having the same failure. 1 Verdania lost 3 fingers before we could react. The Cathar claws couldn't grip the tools. I felt the hysteria rising. This was regulation gear. It was supposed to work. Lena watched for 90 seconds. Her face was patient, not mocking, just waiting. Finally, I turned. My pride was bleeding, but my people were dying. "Cadet Cross, do you have a suggestion?" She smiled. "Yes, sir. Can I try something? My people build a shelter when the cold gets aggressive. It's called a snow bunker. Takes about an hour. It'll keep us alive all night. We just need to work together." I didn't have a choice. "Show us." And with the wind screaming like a wounded animal, with the radio crying out the death of the trial around us, the Deathworld girl knelt in the powder and began to teach us how to survive. I didn't know it yet, but the gauntlet had just changed. Not just for my squad, for the Academy, for the galaxy's understanding of humanity. The first night hadn't even started, and somewhere out in the dark, something large and patient had noticed our arrival. Lena worked silently for a few minutes. She cut blocks from a drift with her combat knife, shaping a low dome. Her bare hands packed the snow. I kept waiting for her fingers to go black. They didn't even turn red. She worked like the temperature was a myth. Then she paused, her head cocked. She stared into the white wall. not nervous, just listening. Her smile flickered. She turned back to the snow. "Squad leader," she said quietly. "How many sidearms do we have?" "4. Why?" "Check the power cells. Make sure they're functional." "Functional for what?" She kept carving. "In case one of the big neighbors comes to visit tonight. I saw tracks on the way in. Something's been pacing us since we landed." I checked my sidearm. The power cell flickered weakly, half dead from the cold. The others were worse. Lena finished the entrance. She stood, dusted her hands, and looked at me with that same apologetic smile. "Don't worry," she said. "If it shows up, I'll manage it. I've got experience with this particular type of problem." And somehow, standing on that frozen graveyard with the storm raging and my squad freezing, I believed this small human girl more than I had ever believed anything in my life. I just didn't know why yet. By the time we crawled into the snow bunker and sealed the door, the winds outside had reached velocities that should have flayed us alive. Inside, silence. The snow walls blocked the chaos. Our body heat raised the internal temperature by 25 degrees within 10 minutes. 25 degrees. From a pile of frozen water. I had trained for 6 years at the galaxy's finest institution. I had studied survival on 60 worlds. And this human, with no gear and bare hands, had saved my entire squad in under 60 minutes. The Verdania stopped shaking. The Ythril began to glow again. The Cathar clicked softly, their version of relief. Lena sat near the entrance, knife in hand, not sleeping, watching. Her head turned slowly, tracking something we couldn't perceive. I moved next to her. "Thank you," I whispered, "for the shelter, for everything." She smiled. "It's nothing, sir. My ancestors built these for millennia. I'm glad it helped." "Lena, back on Kepler. Is it really this cold?" She laughed gently, not cruel, honest. "Oh no, squad leader, this is balmy. Back home right now it's probably minus 140. The wind strips your skin off if you blink. The creatures that hunt us have 2 rows of teeth, one inside the other. We don't go out at night unless we're desperate." She said it like she was describing a grocery list. "Kids learn to kill the stalkers by age 8, she continued. "If you don't see 9. My little sister is the best hunter in our settlement. She's 12. She's already bagged 4 frost behemoths. I'm actually considered the soft one. My mom worries about me." I couldn't speak. She turned back to the entrance, lifting her knife. Her eyes sharpened. Somewhere out in the screaming gale, something had moved. Something close. "Squad leader," Lena said quietly. "I think our visitor is here. Tell the squad to stay perfectly still. And if you could hand me my second knife from my pack, this one is a bit small for what's about to walk through that door." My hands were shaking as I reached for her pack. Not from cold, from something else. Outside a sound came, low, deep, hungry. Lena smiled. "There you are," she whispered to the storm. "I was wondering when you'd say hello." The first night of the frost gauntlet had truly begun. The breathing grew louder. Not a roar. Worse. A slow, deliberate inhale and exhale of something massive. Something that had hunted this ice for centuries. I handed Lena her second knife. A long blade, almost the length of her forearm. She tested the weight, ran her thumb along the edge, and set both knives beside her. She didn't look afraid. She looked focused. Calm. Ready. Behind us, the squad was silent. The Ythril had stopped glowing. The Verdania were pressed against the wall. My Draxi comrades had drawn their failing sidearms. Lena spoke in a whisper that somehow carried. "When it comes in, nobody moves, nobody shouts, nobody shoots. If you fire, you'll miss and you'll make it angry. Just stay still. This will be over in a moment." I believed her with every fiber of my being. Outside, the breathing stopped, and then, very slowly, a shadow fell across the entrance. Something was looking inside. Something was smiling. The creature filled the entire doorway. Its head alone was larger than my torso. 4 eyes, 2 on each side, glowing a pale corpse blue. Its mouth hung open, revealing rows of black teeth. Its breath rolled into the bunker like a chemical fog. It smelled of frozen meat and ancient blood. My heart stopped. I had studied the apex predators of 100 worlds. This beast wasn't in any database. It was too large. Its eyes were too intelligent. This wasn't an animal. It was a hunter, one that had torn open shelters like ours many times before. The squad didn't move. Not a single breath. Lena sat in the snow, her knives on either side. She looked up at the monster the way you'd look at an uninvited guest. "Hello there," she said softly. "I saw your tracks earlier. I figured you'd come by." The creature made a sound in its throat, low, rolling, confused. I don't think anyone had ever spoken to it before. Lena stood up. She didn't reach for her weapons. She stood with empty hands. She took one small step toward the beast. "Squad leader," she said without turning. "Don't let them shoot. I'm going to step outside with our guest. We're going to have a brief conversation. I'll be right back." I wanted to scream. My mouth was frozen. Lena walked calmly toward the monster. The creature watched her, its 4 eyes tracking every inch. It pulled its head back to give her room, and then she did something I will never forget. Just as she reached the entrance in a motion so fast I barely registered it, she swept up both blades from the snow. Her body didn't tense. Her face didn't change. She was still smiling when she stepped into the storm. The creature followed her. It had to back up to give her space. Its massive body moved with an eerie grace. I crawled to the entrance. I had to see. The storm was raging, but I could see Lena, 20 meters away. The creature stood before her. In the open, I saw its true size, shoulders high as a building, legs like ancient tree trunks. And Lena, this tiny human, faced it with a smile. "You're beautiful," I heard her say. "I've read about your kind. My grandmother fought one of your ancestors when she was young. She said it was the hardest fight of her life. I hope I can make her proud." The creature made another sound. This one was different, almost sad, as if it understood. Then it lunged. I don't have words for what happened next. I've studied combat masters. I've watched the deadliest warriors in the galaxy. What Lena did wasn't combat. It was something older. She moved before the jaws could close. She slid under its chest like water between stones. Here one moment, gone the next. Her knife flashed twice. The creature screamed, a sound that shook the ice beneath us. It turned, but she was already gone, already on its other side. Another flash, another scream. She wasn't stabbing wildly. She was placing her blade with surgical precision. She knew the creature's anatomy better than the creature did. Nerve clusters, tendons, weak points. The beast was fast, shockingly fast. But Lena was faster. Or maybe not faster. Maybe she just knew where it would strike before it struck. She read its body the way she had read the clouds. Within 1 minute, the creature was limping. Within 2, it dropped to its knees. Within 3, it lay still on the ice. Lena stood beside it. She placed one hand on its head. She bowed her head slightly as if praying. Then she cleaned her knives in the snow and walked back to the bunker. She crawled inside. She sat in her old spot. She looked up and saw all of us staring. She blushed. Actually blushed. "I'm sorry that took so long," she said. "It was bigger than I expected. I should have been faster. My sister would laugh at me." None of us spoke. We couldn't. Lena looked at our faces. Her smile faltered. "Are you okay? Did I scare you? I'm really sorry. I should have warned you about the noise." I found my voice. "Lena, what was that thing?" "Oh, that was a Kryos wraith wolf," she said, like naming a farm animal. "They're everywhere in this region. I'm surprised the Academy picked this moon. These wolves have killed a lot of people. Actually," she paused, "no one has ever fought one alone and lived. At least that's what I read in the library." Another pause. "Oh, I guess I'm the first one. That's nice. My mom will be happy." She smiled again and wiped a bit of frozen blood from her cheek. My radio crackled. A shaken voice came through. All squad leaders, this is Control. Update. The trial has lost 51 cadets, 23 medical evacuations, 38 voluntary withdrawals. 7 squads have completely failed. This is officially the worst Frost Gauntlet in 20 years. Please check in. 51 cadets. Broken in less than a day. I looked at Lena. She was brushing snow off her pants. She looked up, tilted her head. Squad leader? She said politely. May I ask something? Yes. How hard is this test supposed to be? I don't want to be rude, but it feels a little easy. The wolf was fine. The weather is pleasant. The snow is good for building. Is it supposed to be harder than this? I stared at her for a long moment. Then I started laughing. I couldn't stop. My whole squad joined in, wild laughter born from shock, relief, and the impossible truth of where we were. Lena looked around, confused but polite. She waited for us to finish. Lena, I finally said. This is considered the hardest test in the academy. Half the students fail. Some years they don't come back at all. 51 cadets have already been pulled, and we're only hours in. Most of the galaxy thinks this is as hard as it gets. Her eyes went wide. Oh my, I didn't know. I'm sorry. That must be very difficult for everyone. She thought for a moment. Well, she said, I'll try to help where I can. If you don't mind me offering a few suggestions over the next week, I might be able to make things easier for the squad. I nodded slowly. Behind me, one of the Verdania whispered in their soft language. My translator earpiece turned the words into common speech. She is a gift from the old gods, the plant being whispered. A gift sent to save us. Lena didn't hear. She was tidying the entrance, humming a soft melody. I lay back in the bunker. Through the small air hole she'd cut in the roof, I could see a few stars. Somewhere out there, 51 cadets were being taken home in defeat. And here, in our warm shelter of snow, a Deathworld girl was humming and planning how to make the next 7 days easier for her squad. I closed my eyes. The trial had 7 days to go. I had a feeling every single one of them would change my life. I was right about that. I just wasn't prepared for how much. Morning came slowly on Kryos 9. The sun was a weak red coin in the gray sky. I crawled out first. The air bit. The wind had died, but the cold was still cruel. The wraith wolf was still there, frozen solid, already buried in frost. Lena came out behind me, stretching. Beautiful day, she said. We should make good time. She walked to the dead creature and knelt. Taking some meat, she explained. And fur. The meat will feed us for 4 days. The fur will make better boots. Yours are already cracking. She began to work, efficient, respectful. As she cut, she spoke softly to the animal in her native tongue. What are you saying? I asked. Thanking it, she said. Back home, we always thank the animals that feed us. Every life we take to keep our lives must be honored. My grandmother said the day we stop thanking them is the day we stop deserving them. The rest of the squad emerged. They saw Lena working and moved to help. Within an hour, we had food and rough fur coverings for our failing boots. Lena taught each cadet how to bind the fur using wolf tendon. She was patient, kind, never made anyone feel stupid. I watched my squad change before my eyes. Yesterday they were scared children. Today they were becoming a team. They watched Lena. They copied her. They asked her questions. And something else was happening. They were starting to smile. In the worst Frost Gauntlet in 20 years, my squad was smiling because this girl made them believe they could survive. We packed up. Lena collapsed the snow bunker so no animal would use it as a trap. She wiped away our scent with fur scraps. Why? I asked. Wraith wolves hunt in family groups, she said. When one doesn't come home, the others come looking. We need to be far away before they arrive. I'd rather not fight a whole family. A whole family. She said it like she was discussing bad traffic. We began to walk. First checkpoint, 260 kilometers. With our new boots and full bellies, we made excellent time. Lena led, reading the land like a book. She showed us how to avoid thin ice, how to spot safe drifts, how to rest without losing heat. Every hour she taught us something new. Every hour my respect for her deepened. At midday, control crackled again. 2 more squads had failed. 1 cadet seriously injured. Less than half the original candidates remained active. I looked at Lena. She was at the front, pointing at something in the distance, surrounded by nodding cadets. She was leading them, not because I'd given her authority, but because they trusted her with their lives. By evening, we'd covered 45 kilometers, more than any squad was expected to do in a day. We camped in the shelter of a rocky outcrop. Lena showed us how to build a fire using wolf fat oil. It burned hot and clean. For the first time in days, we ate warm food. Around the fire, one of my Draxi squad mates, a young male named Theron, leaned over to me. "Squad leader? Are all humans like her?" I thought they were soft, weak. The xenobiology texts said they came from a mild world with no special adaptations. I watched Lena across the fire, helping a Verdania tie his fur boots. She was laughing at something he'd said. "I don't think she's a normal human," I said. "But I'm not sure anymore. I think we've been wrong about humanity for a long time." Theron nodded slowly. There was something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Something like hope. That night, Lena took the first watch. She sat at the edge of the firelight, knives at her side, eyes on the dark. The squad slept peacefully. I lay awake for a long time. I thought about the cadets who had been sent home, the ones still out there, suffering. And I thought about what Lena had said, that this was too easy. I didn't know what was coming in the days ahead. The ice storm on day 3. The hidden crevice that would nearly kill half my squad. The lost platoon we would find. The moment when Lena would walk alone into the worst blizzard the moon had seen in a century. I only knew as I lay there looking at the stars that I was glad she was on my side. Because whatever was coming, I didn't want to face it without her. And somewhere out in the dark, the family of the wolf we had taken was beginning to gather. They had found the place where their brother died. They had found our scent. And they were not the forgiving kind. On the 3rd morning, Lena woke me before dawn. Her hand was gentle on my shoulder. Her whisper was urgent. "Squad leader, wake up." I opened my eyes. She was crouched beside me. Her face was serious. "What is it?" "A storm is coming," she said. "A bad one, I can smell it. 2 hours, maybe less. This place won't be safe, we need to move now." I sat up. "How bad?" She hesitated. That alone told me more than words. Lena didn't hesitate. Not about cold, not about weather, not about monsters. "I've never seen a pressure drop this fast," she said slowly. "The clouds are moving in a pattern I don't recognize. On Kepler, when we see signs like this, we go deep into the bunkers and don't come out for days. This storm will pick up grown adults and throw them. We cannot be caught in the open." I woke the squad immediately. Within minutes, everyone was packing. No one complained. No one asked questions. They had learned to trust Lena's warnings without doubt. The sky was still dark. The stars were fading. On the horizon, a wall of black clouds rolled toward us, moving faster than any storm I'd ever studied. "Where do we go?" I asked. She pointed east. "There's a ridge with rock overhangs, 10 kilometers. If we reach it before the storm hits, we can shelter in the stone." 10 kilometers in 2 hours? We ran. The squad moved as one. The Verdania were carried on the backs of stronger cadets. The Ithril held hands for balance. The Cathar used their extra limbs to steady themselves on the ice. Lena ran at the front, setting the pace, calling out warnings. Behind us, the sky grew darker. The wind rose to a howl. Beneath it, a deeper sound, a roar, like a waterfall, but coming from the air itself. We ran for an hour. 2 kilometers left. The storm was gaining. I could feel ice particles hitting my back. My lungs burned. My legs screamed. Lena suddenly stopped, held up a hand. "Listen." At first I heard nothing but the wind. Then I heard it, from our right. A sound I had heard before. Low, rolling, hungry. The wraith wolf family had found us. Out of the gray morning, shapes began to appear. 4, 5, 6, 7. They emerged from the snow like ghosts. Blue eyes glowing, teeth bared. They had come for blood. The storm was 2 kilometers behind us. It would hit in 20 minutes. The ridge was 2 kilometers ahead, and 7 giant predators stood between us and survival. I turned to Lena. Her face was calm. Her hand was on her knife. "Squad leader," she said, "I need you to do something for me. Anything. Take the squad. Run to the ridge. Do not stop. Do not look back. No matter what you hear, do not stop." "Lena, what are you going to do?" She smiled. A small, sad smile. "I'm going to buy you time. I'll catch up when I can." "No, I won't leave you." Her smile grew warmer. "Squad leader, I'm not asking, I'm telling. These are your squad mates. They're your responsibility. Get them to the ridge, save them, I'll handle this. I've done it before, please trust me." I looked into her eyes. No fear, no arrogance, just deep, calm certainty. The certainty of someone who had been here before against worse odds and come out the other side. I nodded. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. "Come back to us, Lena." "I will. Tell the squad I said hello." She turned and walked toward the 7 wolves. I gave the order. The squad ran. I was the last to turn away. Over my shoulder, I saw Lena standing in the open. The 7 great creatures circling her. She had drawn both knives. She looked so small, so fragile. Then she began to move. I forced myself to turn. I ran. My squad ran beside me. Behind us, the sounds of the fight began. Roars, screams, then more roars. I didn't stop. I didn't look back. We reached the ridge. We made it inside the stone shelter just as the storm hit. The wind shook the mountain itself. For 6 hours we huddled in the rock. The storm screamed outside. I stared at the entrance, waiting, hoping, praying to gods I hadn't spoken to since childhood. When the storm finally broke, I went to the entrance. The world was buried in fresh snow, and then in the distance a figure began to walk toward us. Small, limping slightly, covered in frozen blood that wasn't her own, carrying something on her back. It was Lena. She walked up to the entrance. She was smiling, though her lips were cracked. She looked exhausted, but whole. "Sorry I took so long," she said. "2 of them got clever. I had to chase them a little. But we should be fine now. And I brought dinner." She dropped the bundle. Wolf meat. Enough for a week. My squad surrounded her. They hugged her. Even the Verdania wrapped their leaves around her shoulders. They wept. They laughed. They called her sister, friend, hero. Lena blushed through all of it. "It was nothing," she kept saying. "Please, it was nothing." That night as we ate warm meat, I sat beside her. She was so tired. Her hands shook when she lifted her cup. "Lena," I said quietly. 7 of them, alone, in a storm. How did you do it?" She thought for a long moment. She sipped her drink. Then she turned to me with that same soft smile. "I grew up doing harder things than that, squad leader. On Kepler, my sister and I used to hunt bigger creatures just for practice. 7 wolves is a lot. But they're not the worst thing I've faced. Not even close." She looked into the fire. "I miss my sister," she said softly. She would have enjoyed this. She would have said it was a good warm-up. "Lena," I whispered, "what exactly is your sister like?" She laughed. A real laugh, full and bright. "Oh, my sister. My sister is the scary one in the family. I'm the soft one. She could probably finish this whole trial in a day by herself without a knife." I closed my eyes. Across the fire, the squad had fallen asleep, smiling in their dreams, safe, warm, alive because of her. And somewhere on a distant Deathworld, a 12-year-old girl was sharpening her blades and waiting for her sister to come home. By day 5, Something strange had happened. Other squads were following us. We found Squad Capricorn crossing a frozen lake. 4 of their 12 were badly hurt. Their leader, a proud Voss named Harold Vex, refused to ask for help. Voss' pride was legendary. They'd rather die than admit weakness. Lena didn't care about his pride. She walked up to the smallest injured cadet, a tiny Yithril barely breathing, and picked her up. "We're going the same way," Lena said. "You might as well walk with us. It's safer, no offense." Harold stared at her, mouth open to argue. Then he looked at his cadets. The ice ahead. Lena already walking forward. Something broke inside him. Not bad, the kind of breaking that lets in light. He nodded. His squad fell in behind hers. By next morning we had gathered 2 more squads. Squad Beta found us first, down to 8 cadets, lost their map and supplies. Lena fed them and showed them how to navigate by stars. Then Squad Row 7 stumbled into our camp at dawn. Their leader had a broken arm. Their followers hadn't eaten in 2 days. Lena fed them all. No big show. She just divided the wolf meat and handed it out like a mother feeding her children. By the end of day 5, we were a group of 41 cadets moving as one. And Lena, without trying, had become the leader of all of them. The instructors noticed. I heard them arguing on the emergency channel. Proctor Corv, a stern old Cathani, said Lena was breaking the rules, helping too many people. The trial was supposed to test individual skill. Another instructor, a softer voice I didn't recognize, argued back. Lena had broken no actual rules. Nothing in the handbook against helping other squads. The cadets following her were passing on their own feet. They were walking, surviving, learning. "She's not cheating," the soft voice said. "She's leading. Have we forgotten what leadership looks like?" The channel went silent. No one came to remove Lena from the trial. On the evening of day 5, we reached the base of a great cliff. The second checkpoint sat at the top. 300 meters of smooth, vertical ice. Most squads would go around, adding 2 days. We didn't have 2 days. Lena looked up, rolled her shoulders. "Squad leader, I'll set the lines. Give me an hour." Before I could stop her, she began to climb, free climb. No ropes, no gear. Just her hands and feet on the ice. Harold Voss came to stand beside me. "She's climbing like the old mountain spirits of my people," he whispered. "We tell stories of climbers like this. We thought they were myths." "She's not a myth," I said. "She's just from Kepler." Harold shook his head slowly. "I think all myths come from somewhere. I think Kepler is where the myths come from. And this girl is the newest one." Lena reached the top. She worked for 20 minutes setting anchors, then dropped ropes. One by one we climbed. By nightfall, all 41 of us stood at the checkpoint. The instructor on duty stared through her monitor. She counted us twice. "Squad Theta 7, she said. "You're reporting 41 cadets at checkpoint 2. Your squad has 12. Please explain." I looked at Lena. She smiled shyly. She didn't want credit. "Control," I said. "Squad Theta 7 has gathered other squads along our route. We're moving together. Shared food, shelter, knowledge. All cadets present are healthy and able to continue." A long silence. "In my 20 years with the Academy, I've never seen this. Congratulations, you've made history." "It's not my doing, Control," I said honestly. "The credit belongs to my squad mate, Lena Cross." Another silence. "Noted. Please proceed to the final checkpoint. You have 2 days." We made camp at the top of the cliff. The cadets were in high spirits. For the first time since the trial began, there was laughter around the fire. But Lena didn't laugh with us. She sat apart, looking at her wrist device. I walked over. "What is it?" She showed me the screen. A small red dot blinking on the map. "Emergency signal," she said. "It's been on for 3 days, 60 kilometers east. The Academy hasn't sent anyone. I've been watching it." "Who is it?" "I think it's Squad Omicron 1. They went dark on day 2. The instructors marked them as lost. But their beacon is still active. That means at least someone is still alive." I checked my own map. The final checkpoint is the other direction. We have 2 days left. If we go find them, we miss the final marker. We fail the trial. Lena nodded slowly. I know. We sat in silence. The fire crackled. Behind us, my squad laughed and told stories. Tomorrow we would march to the final checkpoint, pass the trial, become the most successful squad in Academy history. Or we could go the other way. Fail. Try to save 11 cadets who might already be dead. I looked at Lena's face in the firelight. Her jaw was set. Her eyes were fixed on the blinking red dot. I already knew what she was going to say, what she was going to do. You're going after them, I said. Aren't you? She turned to me. Her eyes were soft and sad. Squad leader, I can't leave them. If there's even one still alive, I can't leave them. My grandmother told me once that the mark of a real person isn't what they do when the world is watching. It's what they do when no one would blame them for walking away. I nodded. 5 days. She had already taught me more about honor than my whole life at the academy. Then we go together. No, she said gently. You need to take the squad to the final checkpoint. Lead them home. That's your job. You're a good leader, Kale. Let me do this. You can't go alone. I won't go alone. I'll take 3 volunteers, ones who can keep up. We'll move fast. Get to the beacon. Bring back whoever is alive. Meet you at the extraction point. The extraction point is in 2 days. 60 kilometers there, 60 back, plus finding them. There's no way you make it in time. She smiled. That same soft, quiet smile. Watch me. The next morning, she asked for volunteers. Harold Voss stepped forward without a word. 2 of my own Draxi cadets, Theron and a female named Vera, also stepped up. Lena accepted all 3. The rest of us watched them prepare. Lena took almost nothing. Her knives, a little food, a thermal blanket, her knowledge. She looked at me before she left. Get them home, Kyle, all of them. That's your mission. I'll meet you at the extraction point. Lena, if you're not there by deadline, I'm coming back for you. She laughed. No, you won't. You'll take them home. That's an order from a cadet to her squad leader. Accept it. I didn't accept it. I just watched her walk into the snow with her 3 volunteers. Away from safety, away from the final checkpoint, toward 11 cadets who might already be beyond saving. I turned to the squad. 37 cadets looked back at me, tired, determined. Let's go home, I said quietly. We began the long walk. But I looked over my shoulder many times that day, hoping to see a small figure coming back through the snow, hoping she was alive. Somewhere in the ice far to the east, something ancient and hungry was waiting at the bottom of a hidden cave, something that had taken Squad Omicron 1, something that was planning to take whoever came looking. It didn't know that Lena Cross was coming. We reached the final checkpoint at 20 hours on the last day. 37 cadets, all alive, all on their feet, some limping, some leaning on friends, but all moving. I gave the report. The instructor who answered couldn't speak for a full minute. Squad Theta 7 reporting, plus 30 cadets from Squads Capricorn, Beta, and Row 7, all present, all alive. All of them? The instructor finally whispered. All of them. And Cadet Cross? Where is Cadet Cross? I swallowed hard. Cadet Cross took 3 volunteers. They went east to rescue Squad Omicron 1. They left yesterday morning. They haven't returned yet. A longer silence. Then a new voice came on. Older, stronger. Proctor Corv. Squad leader. Is Cadet Cross telling me she's gone to find the lost squad? Yes, Proctor. Squad Omicron 1 was declared missing 3 days ago. They went dark near a geothermal cave system. There are creatures down there we've lost people to before. We didn't send a rescue team because the risk was too high. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Yes, Proctor, I understand. And Cadet Cross went anyway. Yes, Proctor. She did. Another silence. When Proctor Korv spoke again, his voice was different, softer, almost gentle. "Squad leader, tell me about this cadet." I told him everything. The wolf on the first night, the 7 wolves in the storm, the snow bunker, the teaching, the leading, the healing, the way she gathered lost squads like a mother gathering lost children, the way she made everyone believe they could survive, the way she kept saying the trial was too easy. When I finished, Proctor Korv didn't speak for a long time. "Squad leader, the deadline is 06 Goer. That's 4 hours from now. If Cadet Cross isn't here by then, she'll be marked missing. The extraction ship leaves at 6:15. We cannot wait longer." "Yes, Proctor. I hope she comes back," he said quietly. "I've been wrong about many things this week. I don't want to be wrong about this." We waited. The hours passed. 2 Chew, 03, 04. The sky began to lighten. 05:30 came, still no sign. I walked to the edge of the landing zone. The extraction ship sat on the ice, engines warming. In 15 minutes it would lift off. Without them. I closed my eyes. I prayed to the old gods. Then, from the east, I saw a shape. At first I thought my eyes were playing tricks, but the shape grew larger. Then 2 shapes, then 4, then more. "Squad leader," someone whispered. "Look." I looked. A line of figures walking toward us through the snow. Some being carried, some walking on their own. Moving slowly, but moving. At the front, a small figure carrying 2 cadets over her shoulders, limping, covered in frozen blood. Lena. I ran. Half the squad ran with me. We met them 100 meters from the landing zone. Lena set down the 2 cadets she was carrying, alive, barely, but alive. Behind her came Harold Voss, half carrying a wounded cadet, Theron and Vera carrying another between them, and behind them, 8 more. Squad Omicron 1, beaten, cold, nearly broken, but alive. All 11 of them. Alive. I ran to Lena. I wanted to hug her, but I stopped. She was more hurt than I'd ever seen. Her uniform was shreds, deep cuts on her arms and face, something dark frozen to her hair. Her eyes were so tired, but she was smiling, small, weak, but there. "Sorry I'm a little late," she whispered. It took longer than I thought. I couldn't speak. I just put my hand on her shoulder. She was shaking, not from cold, from exhaustion. Medics ran from the ship, blankets, warm drinks. The wounded were carried aboard. Squad Omicron 1 was going home. Lena stood in the middle of it all, refusing help. "I can walk, help them first, I can walk." Proctor Korv came down the ramp. An old Kithani, a veteran of 3 wars. He had trained thousands of cadets. He had seen everything. He walked up to Lena. She stood as straight as she could, saluted him with a shaking hand. He didn't return the salute at first, he just looked at her. The cadets behind her, the blood on her uniform, the exhaustion in her eyes. Then, slowly, he saluted her back. A proctor saluting a cadet. The entire landing zone fell silent. "Cadet Cross," Proctor Korv said, his voice thick. "Welcome back. Please come aboard. You've done enough." She nodded. She took 1 step. Her legs gave out. Harold caught her before she hit the ground. He lifted her like she weighed nothing. Carried her up the ramp. She was already asleep before they reached the top. We all boarded. The engines fired. Kryos 9 fell away below us. I watched through the window. The moon looked peaceful from above. No one could guess what it had cost. I sat beside Lena on the ship. She slept for most of the flight. The medics had wrapped her in a thermal blanket. She was breathing slowly. Her face finally relaxed. As we approached home station, she began to wake. She opened her eyes, saw me, smiled. "Hi, Kale." "Hi, Lena. Did we make it?" "We made it. All of us. Every single cadet is alive." She closed her eyes. A tear rolled down her cheek, the first and only time I ever saw her cry. "Good," she whispered. "That's good." In the debriefing room, after medical checks, the junior instructor asked her a question. The same question we had all been asking for a week. Cadet Cross. On a scale of 1 to 10, how difficult would you rate the Kryos 9 trial? Lena sat in her chair. She thought about it. She took it seriously. She looked at her hands, the scars forming on her knuckles. Then she looked up, smiled, a small, honest, apologetic smile. Honestly, it was kind of too easy. I hope that's not rude to say. I'm sure it would be very hard for someone who didn't grow up with this kind of cold, but for me, it was more like a long walk. I'm sorry. I really don't mean to be rude. The instructor stared at her. He looked at me. I shrugged. Cadet Cross, he said slowly. You fought a wraith wolf on your first night. You defeated 7 more in a blizzard. You saved your squad. You gathered 3 other squads and led them to survival. You climbed an ice cliff with your bare hands. And then, with the trial almost over, you walked 60 kilometers into a storm, rescued 11 cadets from a cave full of predators, and walked 60 kilometers back. All in 1 week. And you're telling me it was too easy. Lena thought about it again. She didn't want to offend him. Well, she said slowly, when you list it like that, it does sound like a lot. But my sister could have done it in 3 days, and my grandmother would have done it without a knife. So, yeah, too easy. The instructor closed his notebook. He set it down. He looked at Lena for a long time. Then he began to laugh. He laughed until tears ran down his face. She waited politely until he was finished. 11 years later. That was 11 years ago. I'm an admiral now. I command a ship with 5,000 crew. I've served in 3 wars. I've flown across most of the galaxy. But I've never forgotten that week. I've never forgotten what Lena Cross taught me. She became an admiral too. Last year I attended her ceremony. She stood on the stage and accepted her rank with the same soft smile from the first day I met her. Afterward, at the private gathering, she pulled me aside. Kyle, she said quietly, command is kind of hard, you know? Harder than I thought. I'm not sure I'm doing it right. I nearly dropped my drink. Lena, if you're saying command is hard, the whole galaxy is in trouble. She laughed. A real laugh. The first time I'd ever heard her admit something was difficult. Well, she said, don't tell anyone. I don't want to worry people. I've thought about that moment many times, because I understand now what Lena is, what humans are. They're not a soft race, they're not weak. They're the children of a planet that tried to kill them every day. And they didn't just survive, they flourished. They turned pain into strength, cold into fuel, fear into fire, and they built a civilization from it. When junior officers come to me now and ask why we always want humans on our cold world missions, I tell them this story. I tell them about the ice, the wolves, the 51 cadets who were sent home, and I tell them what I learned on Kryos 9. If a human ever tells you something is too easy, pay attention. If a human says a task is hard, you'd better start running. Because whatever is coming next is going to take a human to survive it. And you, my friend, are not a human. If you want to see more stories about the strength that hides in plain sight, hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe to Ascension of Man. I still speak to Lena. She commands her fleet with the same quiet kindness she used to hold our squad together. Her ships are the most loyal in the service. Her officers would follow her into a star. Last month, she sent me a message. Short. It said only, going to the far rim. We'll be quiet for a while. Take care of yourself, Kale. Stay warm. The far rim, where the dark things live. The creatures we don't have names for. The spaces between systems that no ship comes back from. She's taking her fleet there because someone has to. And Lena Cross always goes where someone has to. I hope she comes back. I think she will. She always does. And if she doesn't, then whatever is out there at the far rim has made the worst mistake of its existence. Because if Lena Cross is walking into your territory, smiling and apologizing, you're already lost. You just don't know it yet. Humans are fire wrapped in a smile, and the coldest places in the galaxy are where they burn the brightest.